The Food Network's South Beach Wine and Food Festival, presented by Capital One, is coming up soon on February 22nd through February 25th. This national star-studded 4-day event showcases the talent of renowned wine and spirits producers, chefs, and culinary personalities. I, for one, have my tickets to the Jazz Brunch at Delilah, hosted by Daniel Roy and Pablo Zitzman. Tickets are still available for events such as Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, live hosted by Guy Fieri, Smorgasburg After Dark, and Farmers Market Brunch hosted by Michael Schwartz. For all the scoop, head on over to sobwff.org. Remember that all net proceeds from the festival benefit FIU's Chaplin School of Hospitality and Tourism Management. I hope to see you all there. Hello and welcome to a super speedy episode of the Whet Palette podcast. Not because it's going to be quick, but because I just had, I'm having espresso. Dominicanish style espresso. And if you remember, my rule is not to have espresso when I'm recording, so fasten your seatbelts, folks. It's going to be a fast one. I am your host, Brenda. With me today, my next chef Spotlight series is pastry chef Mari Angeles Rubio, joyfully known as Casa Gioia, of Casa Gioia Pastry House. Welcome to the podcast family of fabulous guests.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yay!
It's an honor.
And she's just fed me this whole spread that, wait until you see it on social. It's amazing.
It's a whole experience, baby.
I'm so excited. Mari has an associate's degree in culinary arts and a bachelor's in food service management, a concentration in events, sales, and meetings management from Johnson & Wales University. She's a member of the American Culinary Federation and also certified in wedding and event planning by the Wedding Planning Institute. That's it. That's all you got? Okay.
That's all I got.
First, tell our listeners what you currently do and offer in Miami in case they do not know you yet.
Yes, because with that introduction, if you notice, there's nothing about baking and pastry.
Por eso, that's right.
What
do you do? Why is she here?
What's the beauty of it? Well, I'm a pastry chef turned cake designer now because I'm pivoting into that as a thing of life. But one thing has always been constant and clear since I was 8 years old. Always wanted to be a chef. Even back in the 90s where being a chef wasn't cool for a girl, I was like, I'm going to be a chef. I don't care, I'm going to be a cook because I've always been surrounded by great cooks. My family, my grandmother on both sides. Actually, those pans that you see behind you are my grandmother's from my dad's side. And so she was an amazing cook. And she used to bake in those where my parents, my dad and my uncles and aunts were young. And when I was a kid, I would go to her house and she would not bake in them anymore, but she would put them in the wall. And I would just sit down and be mesmerized. But I just loved them. Her kitchen was cool.
I mean, they're shiny and
right, and they're used. And when she passed away, I was already living here. My family sent them over to me. And the one thing that I said was, whenever Casa Gioia has her own house, because I was in a commissary back then, I don't know whatever I'm going to do. I don't know what's going to do. If it's going to be a storefront or it's going to be I don't know. But the whole thing is going to base off of that, the decoration. And so when we moved here, as you can see, I haven't, anything. But that thing just came up and then we will work around that. And so my grandmother on my mom's side was from Spain, from Mallorca. And so, you know how Europeans are with their cooking and stuff. So I was always in the kitchen. And my parents, thankfully, were always very supportive. But nothing about pastry, because I hated it. Because pastry is very specific, very patient, very calm, very sciencey.
Yeah, methodical.
And I am specific. Everything but. Like, I'm the impatience in person. I don't follow recipes. You have no idea the struggle that I went through to come up with the recipe book for Casa Gioia. And I still do when I'm creating recipes because I'm an organized, unorganized person. Like, I have my own system that works for me. And
you get it.
I get it. And then the kind of challenge comes into putting that in a way that everyone else can understand, meaning my associates, for example. Like, okay, this is how I want it, this is how I did it, then how do I explain that to them that it's easy for them to understand as well, and they know where my brain's at, you know? So I went to culinary school, again, very supportive, my parents. They said, whatever you want to do, you're going to go to the best place. And so I came here to Johnson & Wales, and I did culinary, I did food service management, and then I had a little crisis, and I did the events and sales management concentration. But we'll get that to that later. And then, yeah, we'll get to that later.
Okay, so what do you offer in Miami? So you offer right now, just like let's fast forward, and then we're gonna rewind.
We'll do it backwards.
Yes.
Right now, we are a bake-to-order concept. So we recently moved to the warehouse, and we've always been a bake-to-order concept in the sense that we don't have a storefront, so everything has to be placed 24 hours in advance via our website, and it's baked for you. We have, for the past 2 years, I would say we started off in the pandemic, but now, like, really into it, 2 years.
Wait, no, you didn't start in the pandemic, did you?
No, the cake thing.
Oh, the cakes.
The cakes. No, we've been here for 10 years.
Yeah, right.
But the cake pivoting and introduction of cakes was for the pandemics.
Okay.
You know, we had to figure out something else to offer. And we started doing a few, and then since 2021, 2022, we're full on cake. And then now, I'm a cake lady. That's the bread and butter here. I'm a cake lady.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's stressful.
But it's stressful.
Yeah.
But I told you when you first got here, my story is a story about karma and saying no, and then, oh, you want to say no? Bam, go for it. That's just one of the many branches of that story.
Okay, so Gioia means joy in Italian.
Yes.
You say you've made it your purpose to bring joy to whoever eats your desserts beyond baking a simple confection. It's about feeding our souls with what you believe is the best ingredient. And I love that. And I just had a piece of the Dominican cake that she makes, and it's amazing. And I am definitely feeling joy.
That was profound.
That is, you wrote it. So at age 19, so let's go back. So you knew that this is what you wanted to do.
Always.
But you weren't born and raised here, right? You were
I was born and raised in DR, Dominican. I'm Dominican, baby. Oh,
Dominican.
Born and raised and proud.
And you went to school there, high school?
Yeah, I went to
school there, and then
high school. And high school too. I graduated high school, but I went to a British school, so that's why people are like, "How do you know English?"
Right.
Like, first of all, we speak English in DR, but
right.
I was born. I was my whole life. I went to a British school, so that's why I know my second language is English. But I was there until I was 18. And then I moved here to go to school.
And then at age 19, you moved to the region of Puglia, Italy, to complete a 6-month internship in a prestigious southern hotel.
Which now Puglia is like super trendy. Back then it was like, what's Puglia? But now it's like, oh my God, Puglia. And I'm like, yeah, I was there 10 years ago.
So how did that come about? And I want to know all about that experience.
Well, that was amazing. So in DR, my family has always been very connected with the hospitality industry. My mom's oldest brother was a very committed citizen to the agriculture and tourism and all that stuff. So he had connections there, and there was a program, an interchange, like an interchange. You say that? Exchange. Oh, an interchange. Oh wow, my English is very. It's great. It's an exchange, and so they were offering different programs, and one of them was to go to Italy to do a 6 months internship. In culinary school, and I think in every school, you have to do an internship. You can do up to 2, but here 1 was mandatory in the culinary aspect of it. And so it was only for 3 months because our school was trimester. But they wanted me for 6 months, and I'm like, okay, I don't hate it. And so I applied, and I got in. I moved in May. I lived a couple of weeks at this beautiful, beautiful town called Lecce. Which I know you're big on traveling. You should definitely put it in your books because that place is just magical. It used to be an Ottoman Empire capital back in the day. So it's just so much history and all that stuff. Okay, so onto my story. And then I got to the hotel and I was just doing whatever needed to get done. But that was very challenging for me because, a little side note, I was always a mom and daddy's and mom's girl. Like, I had never worked in my life. I never needed to. And I had no idea what working was, but I had no idea what working in a professional kitchen was like.
Right. Double whammy.
100%. And I was only 18, 19. I turned 19 over there. I turned 20 there. And when I got there, it was a bunch of guys and then only 2 girls, which were younger than like a 20 something, and then me. And when I got there, I was not very welcomed. I was not at all.
Okay.
Because I was this American girl coming from culinary school that she thought she knew it all. I didn't think I knew it all. I didn't say a word. They just assumed that.
Right.
So that predisposed them to just being complete assholes to me.
Sometimes silence is taken the wrong way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and especially me, that I'm not silent, I'm not quiet at all, but I was intimidated there because, first of all, I moved to a city, I had no friends. I didn't know anyone. I had lived in Spain before, because my family's from there, but I had family there, and it's the same language. But I moved to a country in the middle, because it wasn't like the fancy booklet you see now. It was in the middle, like, my surroundings were arugula farms. So, that was it. And add to that, new to the place, no language, no friends, no experience from no background culinary experience at all. And
I mean, that's what you were there to get.
And yeah, but they took the wrong way that I came from a culinary school in Miami, and so they started.
Sounds fancy, yeah.
Like, she's gonna come and be pretentious. No, dude, I'm just here to learn stuff, I'm here for the experience. And so they literally made my life a complete misery. The first months, they would call me. I would never forget this. The head chef was called Michele, which means Michael in Italian, and he will call me Mongolica. He will call me handicap. But not just me; it was to everyone. But I was just the thing of the moment,
Interesting that Mongolica is a very Cuban,
no, Dominican too.
It's like a common thing. Like now it's seen obviously very not PC, but I think it's interesting that the Italians say it too.
Yeah, Mongolica, handicapa, just handicap. All these things that, of course, was very hard on me because I've never been bullied before. Like I was the adorable one, and now I'm being targeted. You know, and without me even putting myself on the spot, just
for being
on me.
For being there, just for existing,
just for being from Miami, I guess.
Yeah.
And so that was very hard. I met my roommate, and she also worked in the kitchen, but she was really my lifesaver. She really helped me through. And so, but this is a very proud
story. She was a local?
Story. No, she was from Argentina, lived in Portugal, and she was doing an internship there too.
Okay.
But this is a very proud story now that I look back, because when I moved there in June, I didn't know, they didn't speak English, they didn't speak Spanish, they didn't speak French, the three languages that I knew. They only spoke Italian, but not even Italian like proper. They spoke dialect. And I don't know if you know, but in Italy, every single town, region, but it goes down to every single town has their own dialect. So whatever something means to me might not mean anything to you. So for example, in Italian, you say, what do you want? Cosa vuoi? Where I lived, they say, che gioia. So how am I supposed to understand what you're telling me?
Right.
And
Italian, in general, is very much like Spanish.
But yes.
So, but if it's going to be a dialect, then now you're even more lost.
But how am I supposed to know that cosa vuoi, che gioia are the same thing, right? So they also made that on purpose. They started talking to me in heavier dialect so I would understand. And I'm like, okay, my Dominicanness came through.
I was going to say, answer back in, our Spanish girl.
No, I was just quiet.
The feisty part.
Yeah, because I'm very feisty. Anyone that knows me know I always have an answer for everything.
Same.
I just have the little delay of the language, but as soon as I understood
it.
Ay, mi amor. I was like, okay, fine. You'll get a piece of it. Just give me a couple of weeks, right? And so I started learning, because that's one thing, I'm a fast learner. I'm really fast. I just look at things a couple times and I pick it up. The same thing with languages. And so I was like, oh, fine. And then I started learning the dialect. Not only the local one, but since there were so many different people from all over, I learned the people's, everyone's dialect. And I'm like, I was a little Larousse, Rosetta Stone had nothing on me. And so I got that. I started climbing up the ladder. And then towards the end of the internship, I was running the kitchen. And the owner of the hotel came to my mom, because my mom, of course, she wanted to pick me up. And she wanted to drop me off, because we did a little tour around Europe before the drop-off. And then for the pickup, we did another little tour. But she came to the thing. She wanted to kill the guy. She was like, where's that guy? And I'm like, Mommy, we're good now. We're friends now.
Right.
He loves me now. He was crying, and he was like, please let her stay here. And she goes like, no. She has to finish up school.
Right.
If she wants to go back, if she wants to come back, by all means she can, but she has to finish her degree first. And I was like, for me, that was wow. It was a life-changing experience because at some point when my friend left, because she was done before me, I had a month left to go. And I just called my mom and say, Mommy, I can't take it anymore. Like, because all my friends that I had made, during their program had left. I was the only one there. And I'm like, Mommy, I can't take it anymore. And then my mom, she said, listen, I didn't raise a quitter. She goes like, think about it. She goes like, if you want to come back home because you really can't take it anymore, by all means, tomorrow I'm going to be taking the first flight and going to pick you up, or I'll bring you back. But think about it, because I didn't raise a quitter, and you always have the chance to leave, but you don't have a chance to come back. So you're going to regret it.
Right, you might
that
regret
you didn't, suck it up a little longer, because things weren't like, life-threatening. Tampoco.
Right.
I was just very frustrated because
you came from being more sheltered and more, family life to that. I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah. And I was alone because my friends had left already, and she goes like, stick on to it a little longer, because when you think about it, if you leave, when you think about it, and like when you go back to it, it's gonna be like, oh, but I quit, and you're not like that. And so when I remained on my own, and my friends had left, and that's how I worked hard enough to become the head of the kitchen. So you see what I'm saying? Like, had I left, I wouldn't have seen how much I was capable of doing, And so it was a great experience because it taught me a lot about myself. It taught me about life in general, because I was exposed to people from everywhere that in DR you weren't. Cultures, lives, situations that you're like, I lived in a bubble. I 100% lived in a bubble, in a very great, amazing, fantastic, pink bubble. And so I think that was my first experience introducing me to what the real life is, Not moving here to Miami, because when I moved here to Miami, I had friends here, I was still under my dad's credit card. Like, I would go back home every 3 months after the trimester was done for vacations. I would travel. So that really didn't make an impact on me. Without me knowing, that first trip, that first experience was the beginning of what later on became my journey of getting like the how do you call it, the jamaqueo, like when they shaking you, like, bro, this is, you're about to embark into the real life, Right. So that's the story behind Italy, the short story behind it.
Okay, so you come back. Have you ever gone back to that area? And do you keep in touch with anybody from there?
I keep in contact. I stay in contact with my roommate. She's had a baby. Everyone's having babies. And with some of the dishwasher there, a lovely lady. With my boss, I've never heard from him. I have a few friends that I sometimes through Facebook connect, but it's been
the wonderful world of social media.
Yeah, 100%.
It's been a while.
It's been 14 years, dude.
It flies,
14 years. It's insane.
And look where you are now. By the way, we are by the airport. If you hear airplanes going back, it just adds to the charm.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you come back and...
That's when it really starts. So I come back, awesome. I was loving life, amazing, great. But I started questioning if I wanted to be a chef. Like, no, I'm sorry. Take that back. I always knew what I wanted. I just didn't know if I was good at it. That was what, the doubt and the thing. And I finished off the associates, which was all labs. And then I started doing the food service management part of it, like more of the hospitality side of it. And then I had to take a concentration. Back then, in the North Miami campus, they didn't have the C4, which was that you could do 4 years of culinary instead of doing 2 and then the other food service. That's what I wanted to do from the beginning. So for my concentration, the options they had, none of them were attractive to me. Like, I was like, what? So let me just do events. Because ultimately, my mom back home, she did events. And I'm like, okay, this might somehow connect, whatever, caterings and all that stuff. I wasn't very clear what I wanted. I always knew it was going to be with food, but I just didn't know what side. I'm just going to do a concentration, whatever. And
wait, to go back in Pulga, you were doing just food, regular food, not...
Yeah, savory. Yeah. No. Savory. Baking didn't come to the equation until later on, girl. For me, that was una mala palabra. For me, baking was like, no. And so I finished, graduated college, all the honors, all the awards, fantastic, amazing. But I never went back to the workforce. So my only working experience was the 6 months that I spent in Italy. Usually, and I think that's looking back what intimidated me, people that work in the kitchen, in professional kitchens, they have been working there since they're like 15, 14, 12, 10. You know, like they usually, for the most part, they have been there forever. So they go to culinary school just because when you have a degree, it gives you somewhat more leverage, but they are more trained than sometimes even the professor because they have been doing it for so long. That was not my case. And so when I would maybe, you know, talk to one of my friends, they would be like, oh, I'm only here. They wouldn't do as well as in school because they were not students, because for them, they were already a chef. They just needed the title because they had all this experience. And they were legit, like, amazing cooks. I didn't have that. I was somewhat decent. I was a great student. But I didn't have that, like, badassness. Like, you know, like I'm a chef, you know? So maybe that's what kind of made me doubt what I wanted. And so I started playing with the idea of getting into events. And so when I graduated a year early. I was supposed to do 4, I did it in 3. Because I'm an overachiever. Oh, that's one thing I'm an overachiever. So I did it in 3. And I walked in May, I finished in November of 2013. 2013. No, I don't remember that. No.
Estás poniendo vieja.
It's the 30s, girl.
Don't get me started.
I think it was 2013, yeah. And so, but that year, I went back home to DR because my parents were still together. They're divorced now, but back then they were still together. And so I went back for the holidays and I was done with school. I didn't know. In my mind, I was going to come back because I'm a resident, so I didn't need like paperwork and all that stuff. So I'm like, I'm going to go back after the holidays and then just figure it out. Perfect. I was there for like 2 months, and at the beginning, the first 2 weeks were amazing, you know, going back for the holidays, because in DR, as soon as December starts, it's a party, girl. Like, it's Christmas until the mid of January, so it's an insanity.
Villan los Reyes Magos.
Sí, oh my God. Sí, porque después viene, like, Duarte, like, the Founding Fathers Day, Altagracia, which is the Virgin. I was like, I don't know. America should learn more from Dominicans. It's crazy.
Party mode.
Yeah. And so, of course, the first 2 weeks, amazing, meeting my friends, all that stuff. But then I was like, okay, I need to do something.
What? Right.
Like, I'm bored. And so, my mom's favorite dessert is pecan pie. And so I was bored out of my mind, and I baked 1 pecan pie.
Oh, I read about this. I know this one.
And yes. So I baked 1 pecan pie. And that thing, and of course, because that's where the thing comes, like starts, because I don't read recipes, or I didn't read recipes, I made a huge mistake. Don't ask me what it was because I don't remember. But I know the texture didn't come out right.
Okay.
And that was the success of the recipe. Because, you know, pecan pies sometimes tend to be very dry, very, like, custardy, or, like, I don't know. Sometimes it's not the best dessert. This one was juicy and moist and gooey, and it was because of my mistake. And so...
And you were trying to replicate the mistake after. You're like, what was it?
And I was like, what did I do? Well,
right.
So I was a total hit. And then one of my best friends, she has always been a hustler, and she used to work at Citibank at that time. And she was like, Mary, because my friends from New York call me Mary, with an E. E and Y. Not Mary, Mary.
Mary.
Yeah.
Mary.
And she was like, Mary.
Mary Gioia.
No, Mary Crocker.
Mary Crocker. Mary Crocker. Love that.
And so she was like, I'm doing brownies. She had a good level position, like in DR, in Citibank. But she would do brownies. You know, the office works. Oh, I'm going to buy this from you. And she goes like, I'm going to do brownies for the holidays. Why don't you start doing the mini pecan pies, and we do like little baskets and we sell them? And I'm like, girl, let me see how I can replicate this and make sure it comes wrong again.
Right.
Success doesn't matter. I made a mistake again. Yeah.
Okay.
And so started selling that. Fantastic. That holiday, which was my last holiday there, I didn't do anything but work because I only had 2, like I did the mini. I only had 2 molds of 12 each. And I got orders of like hundreds. So you do the math. It was insane. Fantastic, but that was the end of it. Right. Pecan pie. That was it. Awesome. It's time to come home. Well, no, what I thought was home. In January, and my dad goes like, "Meca, so I think it's time for you to come back. I'm not gonna keep, paying for your living over there. I'm not. You're done with school. You have to come back because things in DR were not economically were not very well." And he goes like, "You have to come back." And I'm like, I don't know where I got that from. Well, I've always been sassy, but I was like, listen. I remember this as today. I'm like, listen, papi, don't worry about me. You worry about yourself. I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life, but I'm not coming back here. I did not. Yeah, I was like, and then I'm like, what did I just say?
Se te salió.
I have no plan. Like, I have no game plan. Right. But I'm like,
I got it.
Yeah, that was an ignorant courageousness. Does that make sense? Like, I was being courageous without knowing how or why or for what. And he goes like, what? So he literally caught me off financially. So you're talking to a girl that had an allowance plus unlimited credit cards. I didn't even know what a debit card was when I moved here. Mm-hmm. I thought they gave me money at the debit card. I have a story. Like, I went to Target once.
And what do you mean?
It was the first.
The money didn't come in?
No. It was the opposite. That was very embarrassing. I went to Target once, and I paid with my debit card for like the first time ever. And you know how they ask cash back?
Yeah.
And I'm like, they're gonna give me money. And so I clicked on the cash back, and then I asked for, I don't know, $100 or something. And then I get an email, overdraft. And I'm like, I wasn't getting it for, like, what? So that's how you know that I didn't know what a debit card was. And so when he told me that, he caught me off, and I'm like, oh, okay, things got serious. I started looking for a job. And I had two paths, either kitchen or events. And I had experience in none. Like,
that was one of my questions, because I saw in your bio that you didn't necessarily go to a restaurant to work.
But you want to know why? Because they wouldn't take me in. I went to countless.
Wow.
I went to countless interviews. I went to restaurants. I went to, and not as a pastry chef, I just went as a cook. Like, I didn't even care line cook, because the pastry thing comes in afterwards. I went to every single hotel you can think of here in the event area, and they would be like, I'm sorry, you're not qualified enough. And I'm like, but I need to get the work to be qualified to,
Right, how do I get the experience if you don't? I know, that's always...
and that's, And so I'm like, bueno, let's see how this works.
Okay.
And I had, I was cut off. Like, okay, I need to live. And I couldn't find a job. Again, another crisis, like, okay, so all this time, I've always known what I wanted to be, and no one wants to take me in. I have no experience. I have no one, like, no mentor, no chef that knew me that would take me under his wing and, have faith in me. Mm-mm. And so I remember the pecan pie.
Right.
And I'm like, bueno, let's see, right? And so I started baking the pecan pie from home. And then friends started, it was a really good pecan pie. It's until this day, is one of the recipes I haven't changed. And I've changed everything, but that one I can't. If I do, people are gonna kill me. And so I started doing the pecan pie in every size, shape, and form. But then out of pecan pie, you cannot make a living. So I started doing other pies. And my concept was bite-sized. Like, I did a very nice box with assortment of
How
pies.
did you get the word out? This is what you were doing.
Friends and family. Okay. I had a family friend there then that she was a doctor's visitor. How do you call that?
Like a rep?
A rep, yeah.
Like and a farmer rep or something?
So she would just buy from me and start spreading the thing. And I'm like, oh, that's nice. But again, I was selling them like this really nice box, because presentation was everything for me, for like $12 back then. And I thought I was balling. Now I look back and I'm like, listen, girl, that box is worth like $40 now.
Right.
But ignorance. And so that's how it started. I started adding some more flavors to that, the coconut and macadamia, lemon lime, all those things. And then that was in 2014. Yeah, because my business started in 2013 because I turned 10 last year. I don't even know my math anymore. You see? Bueno, yeah, back to that. And so I started doing also the cookies, the Nutella cookies.
The ones I have in my bag for later. Yes, thank you.
And so I started playing around with baking. But again, I didn't know anything about baking. So for me, I was like, okay, you cannot play with this recipe like you do with the savory. Because the savory, I would take a look at it, understand the procedure, understand the quantities, but I would just make it my own. But here, if you miss, you have one or two things. Or the recipe's not going to come out, or you're going to find out you messed it up after the thing is baked, which has happened to me.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm like, okay, Mariana, you have to learn how to be a little bit more disciplined. And so even then, it cost me. But I started playing with recipes, and then I'm like, okay, I don't like the way this tastes or looks or feels, so I'm going to switch it up. And that was a challenge. And I started adding more and more things to the repertoire.
And the stuff you were doing it from home.
And I was doing from home. And then I had a friend from my days in culinary school, but the days in event planning, that she worked, and she still does, at this very prestigious catering company here in Miami. And she was like, I'm gonna set you up with a meeting with the owner so you can bring up your stuff. Because the thing, I've always done things that you don't usually, like I never did cupcakes. For me, I'm like, why am I gonna make more cupcakes if everyone's doing cupcakes, you know? So I always try to do things my way in everything. And so the mini bites were no exception. Back then you didn't have that many, like, an assortment of mini pies. That wasn't, and the shape was different. It wasn't a traditional round pie, it was a square.
There's something about that. Every time I see something, a post or something about that, I'm like, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like, you don't have the commitment to eat a whole pice of something. You're just having little bites of something. Yeah,
exactly. So
exciting.
So that's what it was. And so I got the meeting with him, and he was like, awesome. So he was the first person. I didn't have a license. I was working from home. And he was the first person that believed in me. He was like, okay, let's start. And I remember one day, remember the mini molds that I told you that I had from back home? Now I had 4 of 12. So I had 48 mini things, right?
Right.
One day, and my oven could only hold those 4. One day he comes like, hey, Mari, I need 700 mini bites for Thanksgiving. Dude, we made it with only 48 little things. 4 pans of 12 each.
Bake and repeat.
Rinse and repeat. And then my oven is still standing. Like, my oven deserves an award. Like, my home oven, it's still there. God bless him or her, whatever she feels like. So that.
Whatever she feels like. Whatever she identifies.
Exactly. Whatever it feels right for her, him, whatever. It's been amazing.
It's technically it. Because it's an object.
It's an object,
okay.
Sorry. And so, perfect. To wrap that up, I needed to get more business. And so, in order to get a business, I needed to move to a professional kitchen.
Right.
So we moved into our first commercial kitchen, which was around here, ironically. And I started catering to restaurants. Alberto Cabrera was the first one that gave me an option, an opportunity to... Actually, my famous guava bun cake, I created for him and his little place in Little Bread. Mm-hmm. Remember him? Little Bread in La Pequeña Habana? Well, we did that for that specific restaurant because a good friend of mine from culinary, he was executive chef there. And he was like, I'm going to bring you over. And amazing opportunity. It was a great opportunity. He introduced me into that whole thing. That's also how I met Beltran through that. I also did the whole dessert repertoire for Small Tea in the Gables. This adorable, cute tea shop that was open there where now Macondo is, I think. You know where the Books and Books is?
Yeah.
Right next to it in the corner, there used to be Small Tea. And I remember how I met him. Daniel is amazing. I came in, sassy and stuff, and I'm like, hi, I'm Mari. And we hit it off right away. I have desserts and I want to sell them. I love, because his space was gorgeous. And I had seen it at in a magazine. And I'm like, I want to go there and check it out.
You're like, we're a good match.
I'm like, it's all right. I can try that. And so I went, and from the beginning, so it was a total hit. It was like, okay, come tomorrow, bring me samples, and that's it.
Nice.
And from there, up until he closed for the pandemic, we did everything. And he was just so kind. We did a bunch of pop-ups there. He made me feel like it was mine because he just gave me full creativity, do whatever you want to do. I would come over. The people that worked there were amazing. The food was great. Everything was amazing. So I was very sad to see that go. But it was just one of those angels that I got during my journey, that just completely trusted me for everything. And so, of course, then the pandemic came, and, well, I lasted in the first commissary kitchen that I moved to around here, I lasted a year because I had some beef with the owner that didn't play nice. And then I came across my other angel, which was my previous landlord. She was amazing, or she is amazing, but she was so kind to us and so loving for the past 8 years that we were there, because she saw us grow. She's also a mother-daughter business, and she saw our struggles, and she saw how we grew, and she saw that we were the first one in, the last ones out. Only in that kitchen, only 2 people were always in and out. Her, the owner, and then us. Everyone was just doing like 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day, but we were there for 7 days a week, 8 hours a day. And she would just, see us, doing the hard work. And so it became more than a business relationship. It became also like a personal. We became close. And so there is when I started doing other stuff besides the bites, like the guava bun cake that I told you for the restaurant, which I also started doing for wholesale in general. I also started doing some private labeling for a few places. And I just started figuring it out and becoming a little bit more comfortable with the baking. Because again, I didn't know anything. And
I just have to stop here. I just met your mommy, and she's like the sweetest. She made me a good cafecito too. But at what point, so you were cut off, but at what point did your mom come into the picture? Like, at what point did she join?
Yeah.
Because you were on your own.
Yes. So after that January of 2013, I was cut off, and my parents were still together. My parents got divorced that May. So May 2013, they got divorced, and she moved here. But Casa Gioia became official in April 2013. And so, because the business is my mom, my aunt, and I. So it's
that's your aunt there?
No. That's my right hand. My aunt, she's not here. She does mostly the financials and the purchase and all that stuff. And so my mom was left with nothing from the divorce, and we just had to start from scratch. And she was a very successful interior designer back home. Yeah, like you. She also did events. She had her own life, her own career, and she's always been very independent. And that crumbled, and so she had to move here. And she also was diagnosed with a severe condition that she has. It's called myasthenia gravis. It's a very weird condition. It's only like Onassis had it. That means that it's a neurological disease that your muscles stop responding to your brain. And so ultimately, people are very surprised, like doctors with her, like, how can you work?
Right, yeah.
Because she has worked 52 hours straight with me. Like for Christmas, we did 52 hours straight, only 2 hours sleep. That lady over there, she was there. And the doctor, how? Because you end up in a wheelchair. Wow. You end up, you can't talk. You choke. Usually the way those patients die is choking, because even your breathing muscles, you can't have control over them, or you choke because your tongue. So it's a very
she seems
great to me. Yeah, no. She
with
does.
her little tray, she brought me like a
no, and she's sassier than me.
Yeah, wow.
But so like that's
so she
also
joined you.
Yeah, that was also a challenge, because he divorced after all these years with this new condition, moving to a new place, coming back, because she lived here when she was younger, but coming back here. Nowhere to live, all those things. And then me opening up a business that we knew nothing about. Because, listen to this. The business started, it was a bakery, right? But no one was a baker. No one had a background in food business.
Sheer will.
Oh, dear Lord. No one knew how to run a business in the United States, because it's not the same thing as in one of our countries. Como que in our countries, you know someone that knows someone, and you're a plug, and X, Y, and Z. I am someone's daughter, which is the way it works,
right.
Which is how it would have worked in DR. Because had I stayed in DR, I would have had my own bakery from the beginning, because I'm such and such daughter.
Right.
But here, Mari had to make it on her own, with no money and nothing. So if you look back at it, the business had really no chance of succeeding, because 3 people, one diagnosed with a severe condition, 50, no culinary experience. My aunt, she had some business experience, but definitely an export and import, nothing with hospitality or restaurant. And then me. Me. So, what?
And so we started doing that, and I started just getting into it and adding more stuff and adding more stuff. People really loved our desserts. Before the influencers were a big deal.
Yeah, that's when I actually started my blog in 2013 as well, and there was really no Instagram.
Well, thanks to people like you, I didn't know you back then, but thanks to people like you, I started reaching out to them. Muy fresca yo, like through Instagram was just starting.
But sometimes actually I've been proving that lately, sometimes you just have to ask.
Yeah, I'm really bad at that. I'm really bad at asking for help and asking for anything.
Same.
But back then, I just reached out to a couple. Miami Food Pugs was one of them. Mm-hmm. Miami Food Porn, but I think they switched owners. So the previous one, who else? Allison Riley from MIA Bites. Shayna Savers from Shayna.
Shayna, yeah.
She's amazing.
Oh, I did see Shayna's write-up.
Yeah. Shayna.
I met you. This is the second time I meet you.
Yeah, in person.
Right. Yeah. In person. But the first time I met you was at
Ariette?
No, at Chef Adrian's for Stacy's birthday.
Oh dear Lord, yes. Were you there?
I was there.
I'm sorry. It's not that I didn't remember you.
No, because I was looking at a picture recently, and I had forgotten, because it's funny because a lot of those, it was like she invited like 12 people.
Yes. At the
it was like the Last Supper. It was like she said she's like a Chef Adrian fan.
Yeah,
and she invited these 12 random.
Oh my God, you're right. Yes. I was like, why am I even here? Because I was friends with her. Of course, I'm a close friend, but everyone's influencer or.
It was a weird group, but a lot of, I would say, the majority of those people that were there, those guests, I stayed friends with on Instagram, which was kind of starting.
Sí.
And you were one of those, and that's when I started following you, because she tagged the guests, and I don't remember if we even talked that day, but I know that everyone was like, it was a very fun dinner.
Yeah.
And everyone was interacting, and then she tagged people, so everyone started following
everyone.
Yeah,
that sounds about right. Yeah, Stacy was one of the other people that really back then, well, for that party, she was like, you have to meet. She used to bring me over to some events, and she would just send my stuff to people. Like, this is Casa Gioia.
She was very enthusiastic about it all. Like, you have to come to my birthday.
Yeah.
I had never even met her in person.
What?
I had never met her in person.
Oh, this is the first. I didn't know.
That was a whole Instagram thing. No.
That's the beauty of social media, and that's the beauty. I was lucky enough to experience that before it became a trading thing. Meaning, I reached out to these people, right? The Miami Food Pugs, Natalie Balda, which I think was the Miami Food Porn original. A few people, and I'm like, hey, my name is Maddie. I'm like, my whole story, whatever.
Yeah.
I would love to bring you some samples and see what you think. And genuinely, I just wanted to, kind of test the waters and see if people like my stuff.
Yeah, get the feedback, right?
Because I wasn't doing what people were doing back then. Back then, what you saw were cupcakes. I mean, no shade against the cupcakes, but cupcakes are for me.
And cake pops.
And don't even get me started. Dear Lord, don't even get me started on that. So and then here I am.
No shame, I do like me a good cake pop.
I know.
I'm never gonna turn it down.
Oh yeah, it was true. It's fine. I'm a little hater. I'm a little hater. And so then here I am, like a Dominican girl, like 19. Hi, I have pies, like mini pies, and they come in squares. So. What's your deal, girl?
Yeah.
And so I really wanted to see, and I was doing flavors that were not typical, like coconut and macadamia. I was doing a guava crisp. I was doing the pecan pie out of season, because pecan pie is usually for like Christmas. I was doing it in the middle of summer. So I was very atypical in many ways. So I was really curious to see the feedback. And everyone was very welcoming. Everyone started posting with nothing in return. They were genuinely...
What a concept.
Right?
What a concept.
And they really, and I even became friends with them. Like, it was just in a matter of business. I became friends. Stacy, for example.
Yeah.
Sonia from Que Catalana, that I started meeting her like around that time. Andy Miami. Allison, which was the first one around the first people to write about me, like in a legit magazine. Burger Beast. I cannot forget Burger Beast. Burger Beast was another angel that I met at the beginning. I love
hearing all these stories.
Yeah, no, Burger Beast this is funny. I participated in the first desserts war when it was like, I don't want to say it's not legit anymore.
I read that, you won.
I was the first one that won the first edition of the Miami, the desserts war in 2015. I won that. And Burger Beast was one of the judges there. And he was just he was always so welcoming. He was always,
supportive,
yeah.
and Marcella as well, his family. Like, I've really encountered very, very, very genuinely
I like
nice
that
people.
side of Miami. When Miami, I don't even want to say influencer, but when Miami food media-ish type people like support each other.
Yeah.
I love when that side comes out. It's not as common now.
It is, and that's what we're talking about off the record. That I've had so many people that were quote unquote an influencer without being an influencer. Meaning, for me, influencer has nothing to do with how many followers you have.
People who influence you, but without
or selling,
right?
But also, you can have 10 followers and you can have 10,000 followers. If you are really an influencer, you just say something about, hey, I went to Mari's place and I got a cake.
Right.
Those 10 people are going to come and buy versus the 10,000 people.
Right.
None of them are going to come. Why? Because they don't trust what the other person is saying. But they know that if Brenda says that this is legit, I have to go. And so I was very, very blessed from the very early stage of the business that everyone that I came across with, either organically or I reached out to them or I stalked them or harassed them, whatever, they were always very helpful and graceful enough to really get the word out there, because I didn't have that much money to spend on marketing. I didn't have a storefront. I was sort of quote unquote educating the Miami market to my taste, because 10 years ago, Miami was very close when it came to dessert. It was either flan, arroz con leche, tres leches, pastelito de guayaba. Like, it was very narrow to what it was, and that's okay because
Vicky's Bakery or bust.
They were used to that, and then here I am, trying to show you how I want you to do desserts. And so that was a challenge for me too, because not only was I creating a business in a city I didn't know and no one knew me, I was also bringing things that looked different than the rest. So it was like, again, I always took the hard road unknowingly. And so just finding these people that genuinely wanted to help you and genuinely wanted to, spread the joy that you were bringing without nothing in return other than see you, grow and expand. It was amazing. And that's very sad not to see now. You can still find I'm talking to one, you can still find people like that, but it has become so like, what are you going to give me back? Okay, I can talk about your business, but what's in it for me?
Right.
Which I understand, I respect. It's also a way to live, fine. But when you come from the old days when that wasn't part of the equation, which is
sometimes what I find some of these accounts, the line is so blurred.
Yeah.
So are you telling me about forget the food for a second, right? That's one, of course. Are you telling me about this restaurant because you really like it?
Or because of being paid, or you want to comment or something?
But then when you also go talking about a supplement, or you're brushing your teeth and you're posting it.
Yeah.
Is that, are you plugging this?
Yeah.
It's so blurred that and then I've become kind of like, I just keep
skeptical.
Scrolling.
I'm
because
skeptical.
I don't believe anything that some of those accounts post, because I never know.
I'm super skeptical about it because...
And that sucks.
It sucks because I don't think that's the point, but I become super skeptical because you see all these people, for example, selling you this water, and then when you know someone that knows them, like, oh, but they don't even drink that water. It's like, so, ¿a quién le creo? So you're trying to make me buy a water you're promoting that you don't even believe in. So what's the whole point of this? Just to make a few bucks? Like, fine, you do you.
Without disclosing it.
Exactly.
Because I think the biggest difference is, I always say this example, like Jennifer Aniston talks to you about Smart Water. She's an actress and she's getting paid. So from the get-go, whether you were intrigued by the ad, great. So all it takes is saying, partner with, collaboration with, and then as the users, the user end of a social media account, what you're following, okay, that actually looks interesting, I'm going to try it. But now you know the whole story.
Exactly.
You're not like wishy-washy, like, I don't know.
I guess she's really mean, is she getting paid for, like, I'm not going to die if I try, like, what's going on?
You just don't know.
Yeah, no.
Wait, okay, so then, so your mom came back, and...
So we just started doing the business, and so that's it. We started baking at the new commissary. We started expanding little by little. We struggled, of course, because I started this business with money left over from my allowance when I was back daddy's girl, and I didn't have a savings because why would you when the debit card gives you money back?
Exactly.
Dude, honestly, I have stories. I can go to Target and get $100 I'm like, out of the cart. Why?
Why would I save when I could just get money back?
So I didn't, yeah.
Because I'm cute.
Because I'm adorable. So yeah, I had to grow up personally and professionally too fast, too soon, without any guidance, in the sense, not that I didn't have people around me, but in the sense of, in a matter of, as I go, figuring out what I want out of life, who was I, what was I doing, why was I doing it, what am I doing, because again, I didn't have anything. So I from one day, oh yeah, I'm a chef because I graduated from Johnson & Wales, magna cum laude. Now it's like, okay, put that aside. How's that gonna help you now?
Do you recommend culinary school? Or do you recommend, like you said, your friends who just had the actual experience?
I think the experience is the best way to go, because you can come out of, I have friends that graduated with me, didn't even know how to sharpen a knife.
Ooh.
But that's also on school, because you should make that a one-on-one as a culinary. At least, no, not to throw shade at anyone, but if you're going to be a chef, you need to know how to sharpen a knife professionally. And so a lot of my colleagues didn't know how to do that. So I think culinary school is good because it also opens up opportunities, I think.
And like you said, you were hoping for that. No, your friends were hoping for that certificate to say,
and to some
I'm
extent,
legit.
To some extent, it gives you somewhat of a legitimacy that can also backfire, because you might have a title and not have any idea what you're doing.
Yeah, once you get hired, it'll be very quick to find out if you know or not.
Exactly. Yeah. So if it were to me, if I would go back, which I often think about, I would definitely enroll in culinary school, but I would get a job.
Do it at the same time.
Yeah, definitely. I would do that. For multiple reasons, but professionally, one of them, that would be it. You're not gonna get all that you need in the culinary school, and you're not gonna get maybe all that you need in the just working, in my opinion, because I do believe in academics, and I do. If I could, I would spend my whole life studying, because that's just who I am. But I think both hand in hand are the perfect duo, and that's what I would do if I had to go back. Definitely.
I can relate, because in interior design, I did the same thing. In my first semester in interior design, I was already doing an internship.
Yeah.
My uncle was in construction, so he just said, oh, you're going to study this here. And I was working in Coral Gables, and I was just starting. I knew nothing. Mm-hmm. But also, I always worked a part-time in interior design, and I would always get into it, because I'm sassy like you, with teachers. Oh. Because they would love to stand there. They weren't even practicing. They were just teaching, right? Yeah. And they would stand there and say, first of all, back then, I don't know now, but the schooling was more about commercial design.
Okay.
Right? So it was everything, like offices, hospitals, and hotels. I didn't want to do that.
Okay.
Funny enough, I just always wanted to do residential interior design or restaurant design. I thought it was so cool. But I was always just leaning towards residential. So all the teaching was just putting all this stuff in your head, like, and they would show off and they'd say, well, when you get to the real world, this and this and this, and I knew all about like purchase orders and all this stuff, like the way that
you
the
do the
presentations,
yeah,
and I would always raise my hand. I'm like, actually,
that'd be me.
My firm in Coral Gables where I work, this is how we do it. We do the invoicing, and we do and
they would hate. Of course, they would hate you.
But hey, why are you scaring the kids? The kids, why are you scaring the students? Like, that's not how it works, especially not in residential, high-end residential design. But so I always say that to people: if you're gonna go to school, try and get an internship or something
that really teaches.
You're doing both. I agree. So
I agree. I would. That's one of the things that I lacked back then, because I should have done that. But I didn't. You live and you learn, whatever.
And as a side note, I always ask everyone, because I know it's also a controversial. Some chefs are like, no, forget school, it's dumb, It's a waste of money.
And I understand that, and I respect that, and I definitely understand where they're coming from. So I'm just talking about my perspective. If I have a child and he wants to be a chef, he or she wants to be a chef, I'd be like, amazing. You're going to culinary school, and you're going to go, I don't know, even to Europe if you have to, but you are also going to get a side gig on the side.
Right.
Because
it's the best way, I agree.
And also, I think it's the best way for you to really know if you want to be a chef or no. Because I had a lot of friends that went to culinary school.
Hands-on.
Oh my God, I want to be a chef.
Do they want to be a Bravo chef, or do they want to
be a Food Network chef?
Exactly.
No, the thing is, they went to culinary school. Awesome. After the internship, they're like, "This is not for me. I cannot do all these hours." And I'm like, "What do you think it was?" Because I have never complained about. I've missed birthdays. I've missed
holidays, everything.
I've missed weddings. I'm lucky enough to have a great support system and they understand and respect that. But I've missed even deaths. I've missed a lot of things.
Yeah.
And that comes with work. Like on Christmas Day or Thanksgiving, I'm okay if you guys are on vacation and, you know, living your life and YOLOing while I'm busting my ass here working 34 hours straight. I signed up for that. But a lot of people romanticize it too much.
Nowadays, that's big.
And it's like, I understand there's a lot of romance in this industry, a lot of it. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it, because with creativity and passion comes romance in whichever aspect of life. But there's also a lot of raw reality that people don't know, and they just don't want to be like, oh, I want to open up a restaurant. And I'm like, come back, talk to me.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Let's have a conversation.
Right, the realities of opening a restaurant. It sounds nice. Oh, a little cafe, a little wine shop. No, it's not that.
It's all very romantic. All these people that unknowingly start baking from home. I mean, I'm not one to talk, but I've always known that I wanted this path. Just switch over to pastry, but I've always known that I wanted to be in this world. And they're like, oh, no, because I bake a couple of cakes for my family, and they say I should start selling it because I'm really good at it. And I'm like, listen, Linda. No offense to a Linda. Listen, Linda. It's all very nice, and you can do that on the side, you know, to buy your own stuff, to buy your purses, your own, you know, your Chanel, your hair dye, whatever. But to make it a living is a very different story.
Slave. It's a lot of slavery.
It's
slaving away.
And if you have family, I don't have family. Like, I don't have kids. I don't have a husband. So
this is your baby. This is your family.
This is my, you know, everything. But if you have a family and you have this lifestyle, you better have a very supporting partner, a very supporting family. But you also have to, at some point, give and take and see. Okay, so right now I want to focus more on work. And then when I have kids, if I'm married, I want to have kids now. I'm going to, you know, step down a little bit and then full force family, because you are a mother. Whichever career path you have, it's hard to juggle both. But I believe, and I might be mistaken because I'm not a mom, some careers are a little bit more demanding physically than others. And so I don't think it's humane that you're working, you know, 14 hours and then come home and have to deal with kids and homework. A lot of women do that, a lot of family do that, but I think you should be able to find a partner or a support system that, okay, so now I'm going to...
It's a give and take, absolutely.
You have to learn when to, okay, I'm going to focus on work and then I'm going to step back and do family, which I think I want to look at it as a pro for me, that right now I don't have a family, I don't have, you know, like other responsibilities, so I'm focusing on work. So when the time comes that I have a family, I can be present. Because right now, if I think about having kids, it's like, bueno, niña.
Headache.
Bueno, something's got to give.
What items would you say are now fan favorites? Things that...
Cake.
Which
the funny story about cake is, which I'm sure that whoever listens to this podcast that knows me from before is going to be laughing. Because one of my slogans or my lines were like, I'm never going to do cakes.
No cakes. And here you are. Cakes.
Yeah. Because cakes, everyone does cakes. Why am I going to do cakes? They're like, blah, blah, blah.
2024. Cakes.
I have people that have screenshots of me sending them away to somewhere else to get the cakes. And be like, I never do cakes. I'm never going to do cakes. My mom has pretty epic stories about her and I fighting. Because the first cakes that I ever made, she sold them for me without even telling me. And she was like, oh, yeah, by the way, so such and such for tomorrow, you have to do a cake. And I'm like, dude, the things that we would tell each other in that bakery, my Dominicans would come out and I'm like, why would you start selling things under my name? Who do you think you are? I'm the one that's...
Right, because it represents the brand.
Porque bocona también, like I'm a big mouth too.
Yes.
Yeah. And so now, what is Mari doing? Cakes. What does Mari enjoy doing the most? Cakes.
You're enjoying it.
Yeah, and here's why. Mommy, because moms always know best, she was like, Maria Angeles. When she called me my full name, things were about to be serious. She was like, Maria Angeles. Because at some point, I'm a person that I need to have structure, but I need to do something creative every day. Whether it is take a photograph, whether it is to...
I definitely feel that.
I don't know. And so since I always need to do something creative every day, I didn't always know that. So at some point during the whole journey, I was tired of every day, especially when I was doing wholesale, that every day I would get out the same things, like bag of cookies, cake, o sea, guava bun cake, the macaroons, like macaroons, no macarons, macaroons, the coconut macaroons.
Don't get me started on that.
Oh my God, yes, please.
Yes.
So I would be like, Mommy, I'm just tired of doing the same things all over again. And at that point, I didn't have that many associates. Like I would have on and off, so it was me and her doing everything. So I would get tired of the routine. And she would say in the back of, like, if you were doing cakes, this wouldn't happen. And I'm like, I'm not gonna do cakes, because I get the sassiness from her. She looks adorable now, but she ain't a piece of cake.
Yes.
And so,
wait. So I know my mom's the same way. I'm like fighting with her all day, and then people meet her, and they're like, "Your mom's so sweet," and I'm like,
I'm
okay.
like, don't be fooled by the white hair,
Right.
Because that ain't.
Your mom's so sweet. I'm like, she was. I'm like, okay.
No, mommy's cool. Mommy's cool. And so she was like, listen, with cakes, you get to do something different every day. And I was like, of course, my ego was creating a barrier. And I'm like, no, but I don't want to do that, whatever. And now it is true, like, our biggest thing right now are custom cakes.
Okay.
And so that's why I'm loving it so much. And I don't see myself doing anything else that's not cake-ish, because it's a project. Like, every day that I'm doing a custom cake is a different project. But also, I don't want to be nailed down to just cakes, because my creativity goes across the board. Like, I love to create new desserts, not just cakes. Because cakes, yes, you might elevate the experience by adding a few things that you would normally get in a plated dessert, but there's only, I think, so much you can do with like a wedding cake, or in terms of flavor-wise, like the conception of it. The decoration's a different thing. But like for me, I love creating recipes. I love creating new products, and I love to play with people's palettes. And just like do things, and okay, this is a red velvet cake, and the reason why I'm saying this is because I just launched a Valentine's special, which is an open-faced red velvet, and it's like red velvet for me is not that big of a deal. It's like it's not chocolate, it's not vanilla, it's red, like what? And so I did an open-faced concept for Christmas that was a total hit, and I'm like, okay, let me just play with that for Valentine's, and so I did the red velvet open-faced, which is a variation of the traditional red velvet, because you get the red velvet cake and the cream cheese thing, but I made it into a cheesecake-ish, and I added the macerated strawberries and the whipped meringue, and so those are the things that I like to do. I like to take things and make them my own. And so I love the cake part, but I also don't ever want to stray away from developing recipes, because that's just...
So would you say you're like 50-50 now?
I'm 50-50. Well, I would say no, I'm 50-50. But ultimately, I would just love to create recipes for people. Like, obviously my cakes, because I love that. But I love creating things.
Which leads me to the next question. What is the favorite part of what you do? You're like answering it now. What do you enjoy the most, and what are you most proud of?
Okay, so what I enjoy the most, I enjoy three things the most. The creative part of the cakes, like, decorating the cakes and coming up with a concept. The recipe development of new things, not like new products. And also the photographing and the content for the products. Because I'm the one that takes the pictures and I do the videos. And I have a lot of people that say, oh my God, I hate doing that. I love it. I love it because for me it's therapeutic. Photography for me is therapy.
Yeah.
And also, again, the creative part of it.
But it's full circle too. You get to see the whole thing.
Yeah.
And if you're good at it.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing. Yeah, it feeds the creativity.
Exactly.
You get to see like your final product.
And so for me, that's one of the most fun parts, doing the content for it. And I just feel like it comes naturally to me. I love talking to people. I have a YouTube channel with recipes. Yeah. So I love all those things where it's connecting with people, telling stories. I have the personality for it in the sense that I think I'm funny, and I think people kind of appreciate what I have to say. I'm not saying this from like a egotistical sense. I'm just saying, like, some people have it easier for others to connect with people, and so I'm blessed enough to...
The gift of God.
So I in that sense, I'm gifted that for me, like, I can just meet someone and never see them again, but in that 10-minute gap that we, got together, it's gonna be memorable for both parts. Like I'm gonna do my best to connect with you to whatever level you let me. Because I can go deep. Like I'm really bad at small talk. Really bad at small talk.
I hate
so like
talk.
let's talk about the world or let's talk about anything, you know?
Yeah.
And so I take that to everything that I do. And so that's why I love creating the content, because it just gives me that connection with people in every shape, size, and form. Not just through the dessert, but also through the talking to them via stories and doing the videos and showing my face and saying how Dominican I am, you know? So, and that's it.
What do you ever feel saturated on sweets? Do you ever feel like, ugh?
Yes.
Empalagada.
Yes.
You guys say empalagada?
Sí, empalagada. Or empacha. Yes, I do when I'm creating recipes. Like right now, at the beginning of the year, I've been working on.
I will volunteer. I will come
by all
by
means,
and be a
you
taste
know, I mean,
tester.
we do a good job at hosting.
Oh, I mean, right now I'm in heaven. As a matter of fact, let me have another bite of this. It's so good. You guys get the Dominican cake, so good.
Yes, I get saturated at some points when I'm doing a lot of recipes because I don't do just one. I open up like 10 different things, and I end up narrowing to a few. But in the meantime, I had to test everything. So I'm like, okay, I need real food now. Right. I used to be at the beginning, before I got into baking, I would not eat at a restaurant and I would just get dessert. Like I would skip on dinner, I would skip on real food, and I would just get dessert. Now it's like, give me the meats, give me the vegetables, give me the carbs, and the wine. Forget about dessert.
Right.
I only do desserts at restaurants when it's someone that I'm curious to see how they work, when it's something that catches my attention, like, oh, I'm intrigued by this, but I'm not gonna order a chocolate cake somewhere.
Which leads me, you're just leading me to all the questions. What is your favorite dessert that you love in Miami that isn't yours? And are you tough on restaurant desserts?
I am, but because I'm very opinionated.
Of course. Shocker.
I'm very opinionated, and as far as desserts, I'm sure there are multiple, but one dessert that I can definitely think of right away is the candy cap mushroom at Ariette, and I'm going to tell you why.
Have you had the one at the Gibson?
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. With the
foie.
Oh yes, I had it. Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. Those two.
Thank you. Those are the words. Oh my God.
Yeah. Those are the words. And I'm gonna tell you why. I'm not a flan person. For me, flan is like, no offense to the flan lovers, nothing against them. I'm never gonna go to a restaurant like, oh, I want a flan. When Beltran came up with that recipe, because when Ariete first started, we worked together a few times to create desserts for Ariete. And he came to me and called me one day. He goes like, Mari, I'm gonna do a flan with candy cap mushroom. And I'm like, yo, what's a candy cap mushroom? Like,
right.
What is that? And he explained to me, like, all excited. It's a mushroom that I think is from California, and when it steeps, it has like a maple a maple syrup flavor and like all these things. And I'm like, well, let me know how it goes. And
good luck with that.
Yeah, I'm like, no, because I love those things. Yeah. And I know, pero mushroom in a flan, o sea, como que hello. Yeah. Pero I had faith in him, and I knew that he was up to something. When I tried it, I'm like, dude, honestly, I would have never guessed there was a mushroom in it. Yeah. It just makes it that much more interesting. And
it really is ridiculous.
It's
the creaminess, but it's
fantastic. And so for me to say that a flan is memorable, is a big deal. And then when I go to the Gibson a lot, I love the Gibson.
Yes.
I just love the Gibson room. I think it's amazing. And the first time that I went to eat, because I usually go to drink, I was with a friend, and he was like, let's get dessert. Because we had just had dinner somewhere else. Because I love to do I hop.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And I saw the flan there, and I'm like, dude, we need to get this. And he was like,
it's crazy.
Flan? Well, he's Dominican, so he likes flan. And I'm like, this is not for you, this is for me.
Right.
Like, I want to see what it tastes like.
It's just next level. Like, no one so far comes close.
No. And it is. Yeah. Like, honestly, for me to think of a flan as my top dessert in Miami, that's a lot to say.
Right. If someone doesn't know, it sounds cliche to say a flan, but this is not.
No, it isn't.
Your mama's flan.
It is. No, it isn't your mama's flan. And so that is one of the things that I would. And also, I love ice cream. And no, mentira, I don't love ice cream. I appreciate ice cream, but I've become an ice cream lover.
Okay.
With time, because my mom is a ice cream fanatic.
Okay.
And so she's been a bad influence. And so I've been getting more and more ice cream lately. I love salt and straw. I get the brownie one. But Casa Tua, the original one, has a very, very legit pistachio gelato. Very legit.
Okay.
And so I would say I would go back for the dessert there also. And then I'm sure there's plenty others, but the candy cap mushroom and the one in the Gibson room, top. 100%.
I agree.
Yeah.
What about restaurants? Just what are your spots, your favorite little go-to spots in Miami, or big spots? Not to be little.
Well, again, the Gibson room, when I start eating there, I'm like, oh, this is really good, of course. So that's a place that I go to. Dude, not too long ago I discovered La Fresa Francesa.
Yes.
That I saw you there and
Yes.
I DM'd you and I'm like,
oh, the crepes. I was like,
no,
get this.
get the crepes.
I was like, you have to get this. You have to get that. Yes.
I haven't stopped talking about La Fresa Francesa.
Yeah.
in
I remember
forever.
your message. I know.
No. I can't even explain to you. That has been one of the top places that have been like, whoa.
It's so funny because it's a hard sell sometimes I start explaining it to someone and they're all in until I say the location. And then the people that ignore the location and just go, they're, like you, they come back my God. And I feel so bad for those people who are like, oh, no, but can't you just recommend somewhere like in Brickell that's not Hialeah? I'm like, just go. Like, why does it have to be in a place?
Thank you.
Why does it have to be in a place that's known for, this is a hidden
I
gem for
love
a reason.
those. I love places like that. I don't like things that are necessarily trending because it might go back to what we were talking before. Like, is this place trending because it's really good or because someone's being paid to say it's trendy, So the first that place was fantastic. Dear Lord, you put me on the spot here.
I gave you the cheat sheet before.
You did, but I just... Like, I don't.
It's okay.
I don't go out much.
It will
believe
be
it or
edited
not.
to perfection. No worries.
I went to last year. I went to Sitsum.
Oh, it's of course
Really good.
another one of our favorites. Yeah.
Really good. That was really good too. I hadn't been in a while, and I went back, and it was really good.
He has Did you have the Kong French toast? I think is what he calls it.
No,
Peanut
but I
butter.
can't do seafood.
No,
I think
it's a dessert.
Oh.
It's a French toast, but with peanut butter.
No.
It's sick.
No, but because we ate so much, I don't remember that we ordered dessert. I don't remember, but I know they sent over a few things. I don't know. Everything there was amazing. It was really good.
I know that he tries to take it off the menu often, but then it comes back.
But it comes back. It's just one of those things that has to come back.
Yeah, it has to come back. Yeah.
No, but I'm willing to go back and try it.
Yeah.
Honestly, you caught me off guard.
That's good. You said a couple.
But out of the top of my head, that I can say I'm counting the days to go back. Fresa Francesa.
And it's funny because I tell everyone, I'm like, you need to get the crepes and just get the plain one because I love dulce de leche and I love guava and she uses legit, homestead guava and everything, but there's just something about just the simple salted butter crepe.
Because it's so well done. Yeah. No, and the foie. I'm telling you.
Foie with the pastelito, or you had the other one?
No, we ordered that and they were out. So they sent just complimentary, like the terrine.
Okay, yeah, terrine. Yeah,
No.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't have a single thing there that I could say, subpar. No, everything was fantastic. The service was great too.
Yeah.
So, again, everyone that I talked to, I'm like, you have to go to Fresa Francesa.
Now you have to go to Silver Lake Bistro.
I didn't know they were the same people.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm gonna
completely different, but it's equally like savory and
rich.
Quaint, the same, and also like that vibe when you walk in. It's in the middle. It's not in the middle of nowhere, but you walk in, you don't expect it to be so homey and quaint, good service, or on top of you. Like they're doing a great job there.
So. And Canamillor too. Canamillor. Okay, so Canamillor is a.
That one I don't know.
Yeah, it's where the.
I don't know it.
Oh wow! I just taught you something.
Wow!
What?
Are you influencing me?
What? Follow me for more tips. Yes, you know where Teresa de España used to be on Bird Road?
Yes.
That place burned down. Whatever, they took over it. So it's a Spanish restaurant. I think it's fantastic, not because they're my friends, but because legitimately they do a great job with everything. The service is great. The food is great. It's consistent. It's great for a family, like during brunch time. For lunch too, for a little coffee. And so the concept, they have the original ones in Madrid.
Okay.
And so it's funny because when I met them, Calamillor is a place in Mallorca, which is for my family. Cala is one of those, and the ocean, Cala is like like it's a small beach that's formed between rocks.
Okay.
Yeah, Mommy was helping me with the notes.
She's listening.
Mommy's listening. So the ocean, and then it just breaks and then forms little beaches, beaches, not bitches, beaches in between rocks. And so that's why Alcala.
Okay.
And there's a place called Caramillor in Spain, in Mallorca. And so when I met the owner, I'm like, Caramillor, are you from Mallorca? And he goes like, how do you know that? And I'm like, well, no. Are you from there or no? And like, no, I'm from Madrid, but my mom lived in Mallorca and she learned how to do this there, like ensaimada and all those things. And I'm like, this is the first time that I ever hear about someone talking about Mallorca in this side of the world, like in Miami.
Yeah.
And that's how we met. And they just do a really, really good job with food. And the croquetas there, they've had some issues with it because people here like, no, they're raw. Because they're traditional Spanish croquetas. Creamy on the bechamel. The way
I have a hard time with that. I still, listen, a croqueta for me is a croqueta. Even a bad croqueta is a croqueta. But like, sometimes I'm like eating it cold. I'm like, so good. But yeah, the creaminess sometimes throws me off, and sometimes I forget about it, and I'm like, wait, this thing's like a liquid. It's like I want it to be firmer. But
because on this side of the world, it's thicker.
Cubans make it not only thicker, but make it more not picadillo, but they make it more like crumbly. It sounds bad when I say crumbly, but there's definitely more texture.
Yes.
To a Cuban croqueta, it's not that bechamel. No. It's not that creaminess.
But because in DR they also make it like that. But the traditional croqueta is how they make it. It's like creamy bechamel. It's like you're biting into it and it explodes in your mouth. That's the original croqueta. Ahora, people might say no, that it's raw because it's what you're used to. In this side of the world, people say, the Cubans have their way of making croquetas. Yeah. I have my way of making croquetas. Like everyone has their own way. Every grandma has a way of making croquetas. But if you take it from the original version, they are, for me, the closest one. Yeah, they're really good. And very nice people. Their burger. 2 burgers are on my list. I don't know if Chugs or Beltran or the Gibson still makes the burger they used to make.
I know that he has. I think he moved his burgers to Chugs.
I haven't been to Chugs yet, but dude, that burger, the burger and the Philly cheesesteak that they used to make their way before being what they are now.
It's funny because I run into people and they're like, "Oh, I love Ariette. They have such a great brunch," and I'm like, "So you're saying you haven't been in like 7 years?"
Exactly. I'm like, they
don't do that anymore.
It's funny how it's evolved, but they had the burger. I would go nuts for the burger. Caramillor has a really good burger too. And the Philly cheesesteak at Ariette too used to be good. I don't know if they put it somewhere else. Of course, they're not going to do it as Philly cheesesteak now, but it was really good too. Like everything he did was great, and Caramillor also has a really good one too.
I promise
check it out.
Put it on my list.
And I just influenced Brenda to go to a restaurant.
I'm going to tag her when I go, and I'm going to put influenced by Mari. Okay, what are your short and long term plans? Say like 5 years down the line, like short term plans. Let's say 2024, and then like 5 years goals.
Okay, so 2024, I want to take over Doral. Meaning, there's a bunch of offices here and places that I didn't have back.
This is considered Doral?
Yeah, this is Doral.
It's kind of like...
Medley?
No.
What is it?
No.
Walmart?
To me, it's more like... It's by the airport, so I'm just thinking like Miami, like this...
I think it's Doral.
The outskirts of Doral, no?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know, I'm new to the neighborhood, but I call it Doral.
Okay.
But it's, a lot of offices and a lot of things that I didn't have because my previous location was very residential. So there's a lot of potential here to get to bring joy to people around me, and so I want to get into that. Definitely expand into the more custom cakes, getting more into weddings. Like we're doing more weddings and we're doing more big events and all those things, so I really want to tap into that. And ultimately what I want to do is I want to take over Miami in the sense of cakes. Like, not to sound too ambitious, but I just want people that when they think of cakes but also desserts, they know they can count on Casa Gioia. Like it's going to be a whole experience, joyful. When you eat
it's like something that's missing with a lot of the cakes now.
Please tell me.
There's so much just from an complete outside when it comes to like the business side of it, but there's so much emphasis on the decoration of it, right? Of the aesthetics of what the cake looks like, and then it's not always a letdown, but a lot of the times you take a bite and you're like, this is disgusting, or it's too rich or too sugary, too like. It's missing balance. It doesn't have like the savory aspect to it. I don't know. It just missing character. Like, and your stuff is is on the savory side of sweet, but it has like soul. It's different.
No,
then I think like all the cakes are just like the aesthetic of like the buttercream, or you know how big was it, or how the decor. It's all about the decoration, what it looks like. The show, well, typical Miami, right? The flash and the, you know. They don't even care like what's inside or what it tastes like.
I have legit, now I'm more confident in my, of course, because I've done so many cakes in the past 2 years, I feel much more confident. But at the beginning when I started doing that, people would come to me because of flavor. I would tell them, and this is legit what I would tell them, people that didn't know me. Listen, if you're looking for a very pretty cake.
I was going to say pretty, like a pretty cake, an Instagram cake.
Because if you look at my cakes from before, they used to be very rustic and very basic.
You like naked cakes.
And that was what I started doing, right?
I remember the naked cakes, yes.
And I'm like, if you're looking for something, like if for you the aesthetic of it is important, then I'm not your girl. However, if you're looking for flavor and then you're going to get a fantastic cake, then I'm your girl, I think. You know, like I can meet you up there. But I've had people say, I don't care what it tastes like, I just want it to look pretty. And I'm like, I understand, I respect that because I know they're...
At least you're saying it, right?
They're a centerpiece. Cakes are a centerpiece.
Yeah.
I understand, then I'm not your girl. Now, that's not the case because I think I can do a good job. But my goal is to kind of take away that concept of cake that for it to be pretty, it has to be bad. Or for it to be good, it doesn't have to look that so good, you know?
Right.
So it's a balance because a lot of things and techniques have to do a certain way and they influence flavor. For example, the entremets. Like, you know, all this modern baking stuff. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. But most of the times, when you bite into it, it's like, it's pure gelatin.
Soulless. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, what, it's gorgeous, but what am I eating, really? But the only way to get into that beauty is by using the ingredients that make it that, you know, that flavorless, and they all taste the same. So my goal is to combine the beauty of it with, like, okay, I'm eating a masterpiece aesthetically, but has soul to it.
Right.
You know? Which can be sometimes challenging because sometimes you need certain elements and components that have no soul for it to look as pretty, but I think it's my challenge as a pastry chef to keep soul to it while not compromising aesthetics. So that's something that I'm constantly working on, and I think I'm getting better at time on time. But that's ultimately what I want.
I think it's better though to be known for flavor, than to be known for flash or I mean, there's people charging $30,000 for a cake. So at some point, it's like, what do you want? No, what do you want?
It also depends on who's your customer,
right?
Like who you're targeting, because I would much rather have someone spend an extra buck because they know they're gonna get both.
Yeah.
Versus, okay, if you only care about aesthetics, like I've had people send me ridiculous cakes in terms of how much work. I don't do fondant. I don't.
Right.
Each artist chooses their mastery. For me, it's buttercream for now because I always change. Let's see. But when they come to me, I want to do this cake, and I'm like, okay, let's do something. This cake in particular, I cannot recreate because it's fondant.
Right.
First of all. Second of all, I don't do fondant. But third of all, I don't like copying other people's designs.
Right.
I just take things and I make it your own.
Right.
But
for inspiration.
For inspiration.
Yeah.
And I'm like, because I'm a firm believer that when you give a problem, you give a solution. So I'm like,
a proactive approach.
Exactly. So I can make this with buttercream, make it your own, and make it, taste like something that's not just fondant. Because very few people like fondant. It's more a matter of aesthetics. Mm-hmm. And they're like, most of the times they'll believe me because they have that background of my flavor profiles. Like they know that I work really hard on flavor. Others that don't know me, that don't want to risk it, they're like, you know what? I'm just going to go to X, Y, and Z that I know it's not going to be edible, but it's going to look nice.
It's going to look pretty,
and God bless you, boo-boo. You do you, you know? But my ultimate goal is to be known for both things. Sorry.
And so you shall. What do you want listeners to know about that I have not already covered?
I don't know. I think we've done a pretty good job at covering everything. Don't you think? I'm not a storefront. You have to place your order in advance.
We just had 2 people come in.
I'm not a storefront. You have to, place your order online.
We will have a tasting room soon.
But we're working on having a tasting room for special events.
Cake orders.
Yes, for like weddings and events and such. You can come hang and visit me. I don't mind. I'm always here. We have coffee. Brenda can tell you.
Good coffee, but you have to really like coffee.
Yes, you do.
I mean, serious
it's
coffee.
Yeah, it's.
I am impressed by her operation here, people.
And that's it. I think we've covered.
No cake pops.
No, please don't come to me asking for cupcakes or cake pops because.
Even though you gave me a cupcake.
I didn't give you a cupcake.
No, the cake.
That's a cake cup, Brenda.
Oh, it's a cake cup.
It's a cake
it's not a cupcake.
cup.
It's a cake cup. Okay. Okay. What do you want listeners to know? A cake cup and a cupcake are two different things.
At Casa Gioia, we offer cake cups, not cupcakes. Okay?
That's your other tagline. I'm
exactly.
like, what do you mean? You just give me some cupcakes. Right
and then
I'm
she
looking
throws
at
me
them.
under the bus in public. Like, what? What is that? Why do you do that?
I love it. Where can listeners find you?
Here.
Other than here. On social.
On social media, Casa Gioia US.
Spell that.
CasaGioia US. And that's it. I have a YouTube, but I don't use it that much. I'm gonna go back to that later.
Yeah.
But just Instagram. It takes work. But that's it. I think we did a pretty good job. You're a pretty good interview.
Oh, well, Mari, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's been delightful to chat with you. And for you, the listener, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember, I love hearing from you all. You can best contact me on an Instagram DM or at thewhetpalette at gmail.com. That's thewhetpalette at gmail.com. That's it for today. From my palette to yours. Cheers. Bye.
That's okay. NPR listeners.
DR.
No, NPR. Like it
Oh,
sounds like an NPR thing.